please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
Very good afternoon. Welcome to Your Stocks. I'm Nigel D'Souza. With me is Mangalam Malu. The markets are holding well in the green, but we have some source-based information that's coming in now that the ED has been investigating alleged FEMA violations, I think, for the last couple of years, and that explains why Interglobe Aviation has moved to the low point of the day. We're getting the source-based information right now. The stock has been under pressure. It's moving to the low point of the day. So keep your eye on that factor. We'll try to get our reporter as well that's breaking this piece of news. The ED summons the top management of Indigo Airlines. So that's basically the news. The stock has moved lower as we speak. But otherwise, Mangalam, it's been a good trading session. The Nifty is holding with a gain of around 50 points. Good bounce is what we're seeing after yesterday's sell-off, particularly in the final hour of trade.
Absolutely. A good bounce is what we're seeing apart from the individual stocks. Aviation stocks, nevertheless, had been under pressure, also owing to the passenger data that we got. Slowest since September 2017, but whether it's a one-off or not, that is something we'll have to watch out for. But remember, low passenger growth along with an increased input price because of the crude factor may take those prices a little lower. But we'll keep an eye out on individual stocks. Indigo, for instance, down about 5.5%. As far as our markets are concerned, yes, you spoke about the bounce back. What is encouraging is the 10,700 put. Since yesterday, we've been saying that, it has the maximum open interest. So that mark held on yesterday's session. And now today, as the markets have reversed, added up close to 50 points on the Nifty, the 10,700 put has added close to 11 lakh shares in open interest. And for a premium of 50 rupees, it indicates that, 10,650, which is the 50-day moving average, to 10,700, which is the 20-day moving average, forms an important technical support as well.
Absolutely, Mangalam. You like that. An uptrending market, and you also have writing at the closer strike, the 10,700 put, as you said, and we'll be waiting by at the end of today. Let's see what's the action on that front.
Absolutely. So first up, all the top stories that we're tracking at this point in time. It's a strong trade on Dalal Street after yesterday's weak performance. The Sensex and the Nifty trade at the high point of the day. Nifty Bank outperforms today. Lawrence Balanco of CLSA retains his Nifty Bank target of 31,000.
And markets across Asia and Europe, they bounce back from yesterday's lows, even as trade war fears linger on. Nurul Rubini tells CNBC a trade war will only make the fragile economic conditions worse.
Cipla in focus after the company receives a US FDA approval for Sustiva generic, while aviation stocks are under pressure as lower passenger traffic growth, or rather passenger traffic growth slows in May. This comes in at the lowest since September 2017.
And it's an IPO rush on Dalal Street. The government aims to raise around 460 crore rupees by selling a 12% stake in the railways consultancy firm, that's Ritz Limited, while Fine Organics, that's a supplier of additives used in food and plastic, aims to raise 600 crores as the promoters look to offload stake via an IPO. Okay, all right. Let's get in our guest then. We have Unichem. That stock should be in focus before we go across to our guest. They've entered into a settlement with Eli Lilly. Is that right, Mangalam?
Eli Lilly is the settlement that they've entered into with the drug name. I couldn't pronounce. I think that flash should come up for you as well.
Tadalafil.
And this is Tadalafil generic. We need to know what the incremental details of this are, but the fact that it's entered into a settlement,
it's good news.
It's good news. And with pharma, Nigel, this is what has been happening for the last few trading sessions. The sector's in a positive uptrend, and good news is being bought into, lapped up as we speak. We don't know how good or bad it is as far as the company's individual operations are concerned, but the street likes it up 5%.
Short point, they've entered into a settlement, which should be good news, and the stock is reacting positively. In a short while, we'll have Ekta as well, maybe joining us. We'll be trying the management as well to get their initial comment on this. Stock jumped up 5%. It's seeing some mild profit booking, but if this is that big a positive, then in fact, it should hold on to these gains. But we've got plenty of callers that are standing by. So let's get in our guests first. We have Shaina Mukhadam, who's going to help us out with the fundamentals. And Sandeep Wagle is joining us to help us out with the technicals. Hi, Shaina. Hi, Sandeep. Thanks so much for joining in today. First caller is already standing by. So let's go across to Rajesh. He calls us from Bengaluru, has a query and has investments in Avenue Supermarts. Hi, Rajesh. Good afternoon. How can we help you?
Yeah, hi. Good afternoon. I have a query on this Avenue Supermarkets, as you mentioned. I have 500 shares bought at 1500 level. So I am a medium-term investor. So I want to know what is the price that I can expect in medium term.
Okay. What made you buy it at these prices? Any particular reason at around 1,500 rupees?
The only reason is that, quarter on quarter, I can see the profits made by the company, and also the number of stores they are planning to open up. So, and I can see the people, I can see the crowd whenever I go to DMart store.
Super. So, you're doing ground research. That's good news.
Yeah.
Just one thing, Rajesh, I would like to tell you, the stock, remember, listed just last year at a price of around 299 rupees if you applied in the IPO. On day one itself, it doubled. So the stock effective from its IPO price is already 5x, so just keeping that in mind. But how long could you hold it? If it's a longer term, can you hold it for the next couple of years?
6 months to 1 year.
Okay. All right. We request you if you could have a little longer time horizon, preferably more than a year. We'll be giving you advice on that front. Technically, we'll give you advice for the shorter term. Let's go across to Sandeep first. Sandeep, your view on Avenue Supermarts making a bit of a loss. That's a bit of a rarity because he's got it at the higher end. But what's your view from here?
Nigel, I think he's bought the stock at the wrong levels, but fortunately he's bought the right stock, so he will make money. He should hold with a stop loss of 1420 and 2 to 3 months or maybe a couple of months here or there. I see a target of 1600 to 1620. And talk of the next 12 to 15 months, I think the stock can certainly go well above 1700. So I think if he can average it on a correction and take a little longer view, I agree with you, he should make better returns.
All right, good stock at a wrong price. It trades at around 41 times EV to EBITDA, so just watch out for the valuations out there. But for a company that has been, displaying 35-40% CAGR in terms of EPS, looks like a fair value, especially in this kind of market. So we'll watch out for this. So the advice is just hold on for a bit. You can get levels of 1620 or thereabouts. That's what Sandeep suggests. But in the meanwhile, I was looking at a couple of stocks. Jacob, that one should come up for you, Nigel. Anything happening at the Reliance Industrial Infra corridor? Yeah, because Jacob was up around 11% is what I saw right now. Yeah, that's where it is. Let's pull up Reliance Industrial Infra as well and see whether that stock is moving, RIIL, because these two usually move when?
Yeah, that's what. When we hear about anything about the Navi Mumbai airport.
Have you heard something about it?
I have not heard anything about it, but in the last half an hour, I saw both of them creeping up, so I was wondering, I was looking out, but I don't know.
Navi Mumbai is not so far there. Not so close that you have to look out and find out whether the airport is or not. But we will watch out for any developments out there. So these stocks are buzzing. Individual stocks are actually buzzing. The Reliance Group companies are buzzing as well, as our ticker team is alerting us. But with Mr. Kannan P, he's waiting by. He calls us from Chennai with a query. Has investments in Power Grid. Mr. Kannan?
Hi, good afternoon.
Good afternoon, sir.
I have 500 shares of Power Grid at the rate of 203. I am a medium-term holder. Okay, medium-term holder.
All right. Yeah. So we'll get in a fundamental perspective on this one. Shahina, your view on Power Grid? The price is pretty much where he bought it at. 203 is what he bought it at. 200 is where the price is for the medium-term Power Grid. How does that company look?
I would continue holding. I think the stock has been pretty range bound. It's not really given any substantial return over even slightly longer term period of about a year. But if you see the fundamentals, it's pretty strong. If you see the last quarter, despite having a good jump in employee costs, they still reported a 8% growth in profits. And basically their profits is dependent a lot on their capitalization of their capex. And I think to that extent it's doing a very good job. It's capitalized something like 78,000 crores in FY18, and I think every year it will be a capitalization of around 25,000 crores over the next couple of years, and with their return linked to the capitalization, I think it's very well placed. A good PSU, and I would continue holding.
Okay, all right, you continue holding. That's the view that's coming in from China. By the way, before we go into a short break, I know it's Wednesday, which is the hump day, in fact. Right?
It's the middle of the week.
Middle of the week. United Spirits. Okay. I remember Anuj talking about it. He said, in this sort of a market, there's some things that, if you have to consume, you just have to consume. And it appears the bulls are consuming it right now. Take a look at the intraday chart. The stock was under some pressure. It's recovered all those losses and it's moving to the high point of the day. So fair to say, it's shares all the way. By the way, we have some news coming in. Arun Jaitley has said that, in fact, the CAA is moving back in the United States, and the chief economic advisor informed me that he would like to go back to the United States. That's one bit of news that's coming out there. Mangalam, do you have the other? Yeah, he wants to return, in fact, to the US on account of pressing family commitments. So that's couple of pieces of news that are coming in.
Absolutely. In fact, he said that the CEA's reasons were personal but extremely important for him. So family commitments, would like to go to the US. So these are some things that we will keep an eye out on. More importantly, we'll watch out for what the succession plan of this post is as well. With that, I believe we can take a short break, come back, and we will focus on some more stocks and queries when we return. Well, we're closing in on the high point of today's trading session. The Nifty as well as the mid-cap index clocking in almost a half centuries each, while the Sensex and the Nifty Bank have crossed double centuries each as we speak. In fact, if you add all of them up, Nigel, the score is pretty much very close to what England made versus Australia yesterday. 481 is what they made in the ODI. And talking about some runs, what do you do when you run? You wear shoes. Bata, that one should come up for you. Bata is at the high point of the day. So a lot of stocks are buzzing around. You said, you know, there is the weekend, so United Spirits maybe 2 days into the weekend. There are people who probably run on the weekend, so Bata is up 2%.
Absolutely. I do both.
Okay, you do both. All right. Let's address Mr. Prabhu's query. R. Prabhu writes to us from Tamil Nadu, holds about 100 shares of Apollo Tyres at about 161 rupees for the last 2 years. Long-term investor wants to know whether to hold or sell. Making 11,000 rupees neat, 161 is the buy price, 267 on Apollo Tyres. Sandeep, what do you think one should do?
Mangalam, I would hold on. I don't see any weakness in Apollo Tyres. I would talk of a stop loss of 230 with a 12 to 15 months time horizon. I would look for a target of somewhere around 330 to 350, and I think it would be a safe bet.
Okay, all right, Shaina, I want to get your view as well. What do you think?
I personally hold the stock, and I think the investor has made good amount of money, but he should continue holding it. I believe the anti-dumping duty and the improvement in the CV cycle is definitely helping the company. Also, I think both their plants, the Chennai as well as their Hungary plants, should be increasing capacity, and they should add to their numbers over the next 2 years. So I would continue holding.
Okay, continue holding. That's the word that's coming in there from China. By the way, I don't know whether we can pull up the dollar index. You know, that was showing some strength, and it's not the best piece of news that's coming in for base metals in particular. So yes, we had some of those base metals that bounced back today. So we can get the dollar index up for you, and then we can pull up a few of these, you know, aluminium plays. The dollar index is showing some strength. It's going to around 95.2. A strengthening dollar index is not very good news for base metals. You pull up Hindalco, that's slipped a tad bit. You pull up Nalco, that as well has slipped a tad bit. So the intraday chart of both these two stocks should come up for you. Aluminium, you know, prices could be under some pressure as well. For Nalco, the play is alumina. Alumina prices went dancing away to around $700 on a per ton basis. I understand those prices have come back down below $500 on a per ton basis. So that won't be very good news, because 80% of Nalco's EBITDA comes in from alumina. Stronger dollar, basically, not good news for aluminium prices, and for Nalco, alumina prices have corrected. But let's get to our next query. We have Miss Somani, I think, who writes to us from Kolkata. She has around 300 shares of SRF at around 200 rupees 10 years ago. long-term investor and wants to know whether or not to hold or to sell. Ms. Sumani, first of all, congratulations. Real, this is value investing. You know, 10 years.
Find a company, hold on to it for 10 years.
Brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. You know, all those retailers are looking out there. If you pick the right stock, these are kind of returns that we would like to see you all making. But let's find out whether or not you should be holding on to the stock or not. Shaina, your view on SRF?
Well, I think last year was better for the company, or then what is the expected results and what is the expected type of growth that I'm expecting over the next 1-2 quarters. They are into specialty chemicals, and a large part of their revenue and profits does come from that business. With the international, the global trade wars going on, I see slight bit of pressure coming on specialty chemicals. Having said that, this long-term investor has made a good amount of money, and I would continue holding the stock. I don't think there's anything fundamentally changed in terms of the overall long-term story. I would continue holding. I would keep a stop loss of 1,800 if at all she wants to book in the shorter term, and look for targets of 2,200.
All right. Okay. Congratulations, Ms. Somani, and Shaina has given her verdict on that stock as well. Let's move on. We have Amit Gajra calling us from Gujarat with a query. Amit, go ahead.
सर मेरे पास ना IDFC बैंक है. पिछले 8-10 महीने से मैंने इकट्ठा करके मेरे पास 1000 का स्टॉक है. एवरेज वैल्यू ऑफ ₹62 to 65.
ओके.
और लॉन्ग टर्म इन्वेस्टमेंट है, तो बेसिक मेरे को ये चाहिए कि कितने साल तक इसमें इंतजार करना चाहिए.
ऑल राइट. यही आपके पास यही एक स्टॉक है या और भी कई सारे स्टॉक्स हैं?
मेरे पास और भी है. मेरे पास जैसे सांगी सीमेंट है, बराबर. तो सांगी सीमेंट का मेरा परचेज प्राइस है 500 का, 100 रुपीज के हिसाब से 500 परचेज किया हुआ है. तो बहुत मैंने लॉन्ग टर्म के लिए लिया हुआ है, तो कब तक रुकना चाहिए?
ऑल राइट. IDFC के लिए तो अभी सबसे बड़ा ट्रिगर यही है कि कैपिटल फर्स्ट के साथ जब मर्जर होगा उसके बाद क्या सिनर्जिस्टिक बेनिफिट्स दोनों में आएंगे. बट चार्ट वाइज हम पूछ सकते हैं संदीप से. संदीप, he's bought it at around 62 rupees. The price is corrected about 20 rupees from there. 42 rupees is where it's trading right now. Do you think for the long term he can see those levels come back anytime in the near future, or at any time in as what your chart suggests?
Well, Mangalam, I am not very positive on the stock, and the trend is very clearly down. It has broken a crucial support of 50-51, and at the most I feel it can go and test that. So my advice would be, rather than getting attached and sitting on it, use any bit of a bounce to exit. That range would be 48 to 50, and were the stock to go below 37, the stock can even go down to 30 levels. So without any emotions, one should exit the stock either on a bounce or in case the stop loss is triggered.
Okay, all right. So that's view coming in on IDFC Bank. I think we'll slip into a short break. I think we'll come back and. All right, I think we have Mr. Pratik Jain to give his first reaction. We have on that news that Arun Jaitley has said that the chief economic advisor, he's returning back to the United States, and that's on the back of some family commitments. Mr. Jain, can you hear us, sir?
Yes, I can hear you.
All right, I wanted your first reaction to this piece of news that's coming in there. Commentary coming in from Mr. Arun Jaitley just a short while back.
Yeah, I mean, one will have to now see who takes his place. But of course, the chief economic advisor was very closely involved in some of the key policy reforms over the last few years, including GST. And his report, which had come on GST a couple of years back, in many ways, formed the basis for the government to work out the GST rates and take several other initiatives. I think his views about, things like inclusion of real estate and the GST and things like that are well known. So one just hopes that the policy reforms that he kind of was instrumental in are implemented in the right form and spirit. But really, I mean, I think he has done very well, and we should all wish him best. And we'll have to see who takes his place now.
Absolutely. So in your mind, Pratik, any contenders do you think who could be, taking this forward, especially since you said he had done a lot of work with the GST as well as the rates? Anyone who can continue this reform process?
I don't want to take a guess on that. I mean, I think there are many renowned economists in India, and many of them have studied the reforms and the tax reforms over the last few years. I don't want to take a guess on that, but I'm sure that government would find a suitable candidate soon.
All right, so we will let we should not be second guessing who the successor could be, and like you said, the government will indeed find a suitable candidate for that. And we take your wishes as well, and wish the Chief Economic Advisor all the best. With that, I believe we can take a short break, come back, and we answer your stock queries, focus on individual stocks as well.
Well, the markets have come off the high point of the day. Hindalco was struggling a tad bit, so that explains that. And in fact, we have a couple of other stocks. Even Tata Motors has slipped a tad bit from the high point of the day. Axis Bank is the other one that's seen some kind of selling pressure in the last few minutes. So,
actually.
ITC? Yeah.
That is the one which is...
Let's get that one. That's a big heavyweight. I think we should pull up ITC. Mangalam is saying that one has slipped a tad bit, and that could be the reason why we're seeing some pressure signs. So that's down close to 100%. But from the broader markets, plenty of action. NRB bearings, I think we should pull up the intraday chart out there. That stock is moving higher. Volumes as well are picking up there. And it's not just that stock. Jacob, we were talking about that stock just a short while back, Mangalam, whether or not the airport was in sight. Stock was with a gain of around 10%. Now it's up close to around 14%. Once it gets moving, there's nothing really to stop it. But we'll wrap up on this show. Thanks so much, Shaina, as well as Sandeep, for joining us and helping us with all those queries. We'll wrap up on the show. You stay tuned. Closing bell comes up next.